So the objective of this talk is to identify the similarities and the differences between the Celta courses before COVID-19 and now, the differences that they have. We're going to try to be as clear as possible, but we welcome your questions. First of all, how much do you already know about the Celta? I'd like to hear a little about you. Denise, would you like to start?
Well, I think I don't know much. I've never met someone who has taken this test or even have this qualification. But I've taken CPE in the past, and it's opened a lot of doors for me. So that's what I did. I just looked for any kind of qualification and that I could get from Cambridge for teachers. And that's pretty much what I know.
Thank you. How about you, Lucas?
Actually, I have just done Celta, so I'm just doing this to refresh, to see the differences and everything.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's move on. One very good difference about having a Celta or not having a Celta is that many schools are delegating their teacher training program. They don't want people without experience. They don't want people without an idea, without a sound idea of what teaching is about. So they instead of spending and investing a lot of time, hours, months, and a lot of effort into getting people who are not from the area to learn how to teach in their schools, they are starting to require new teachers to have the Celta, because that means the teacher has had a previous training, a very sound one, a very good previous training, and they're ready to go into the classroom right away if necessary. And then the school will only reduce their training hours to a minimum in order to show their own identity, their own school personality, which the teacher also has to follow. So having the Celta opens a lot of doors, because every school will know that you are ready to be there. That the only difference now is to adjust one thing or another to make sure that you follow the school's identity. But other than that, you're ready. So more and more schools require Celta. So if you have it, great. If you don't have it, it's time to get it. It's a very important moment. As you know, the Celta is divided. The Celta has 3 different programs. The programs are exactly the same. The difference between them, is that it's time, how long it takes to acquire the course, how long it takes to finish the course. What is important to have in mind is that all 3 versions of the course, all three editions, will make you work for at least 120 hours. Sometimes you go to 200 hours of work, but the minimum required by Cambridge is 120 hours. So in the first module, the first version that you can see, the semester edition, we usually work over a period of 4 or 5 months. It's one semester, so we start in August, we go up to the end of November, or sometimes a little of December. It depends on the number of candidates in the group. And during this 4 or 5 months, you are going to distribute those 120, 200 hours of work in your weekly routine. So it's easy going, you can manage and you can work, you keep your life plus Celta and everything runs smoothly. The second edition, which is the online edition, it usually involves about 4 months again, but then we focus 3 months online. So you do a lot of asynchronous work. You do a lot of work on your own. Sometimes we invite you for input sessions in live meetings in order to make sure and clarify certain points of the course. And then there is 1 month for teaching practice. So in 1 month, you have a very, very, very intense moment, because you have to teach every other day and you have to observe lessons and participate in meetings. And the other 2-3 months, you can again manage your time. So that those 120 hours, those 200 hours that I said now are spread during this period intensively in 1 month and extensively in other months. And then finally, the last version, the last edition is the super intensive. The super intensive lasts usually a month. Nowadays, because of COVID, Cambridge requires us to give you some teaching moment without being evaluated, without being assessed, so that you feel yourself familiarized with the system, with the platform, with the teaching tools. So that will go from 4 to 5 weeks. It really depends on the number of candidates and in the number of hours that we are teaching every night. And usually you end up teaching every day. Sometimes you teach every other day, but most of the times you're going to teach every day. So again, those 100 to 200 hours focused on 1 month. Before COVID, many candidates opted for this version, for this edition, because they had their lives somewhere else. Some of them were in a different city, in a different state, in a different country, and they then traveled to wherever Celta was being held, and they had this 1 month of their lives devoted to going absolutely crazy with the Celta and crying and feeling mad all together, because we need to go over those 200 hours in 1 month. Nowadays with COVID, people are realizing that they don't need to do it anymore because they don't actually have to leave their town. They don't have to leave their city. They don't have to worry about transport, accommodation. So they notice that it's not necessary to be focused only 1 month in the course. And then people are choosing more between the extended version of 4 months, 1 semester, or the semi-intensive version of the online, which is better to focus on, and you have more time to digest the information that you receive. So far, any questions? Yeah, okay, so let's move on. Marilena, so far, do you want to make a comment?
Yes, I would. Usually in Europe, or even South America, so Europe, United States, the super intensive edition is the most popular one, right? Usually centers run this 4 or 5 week intensive, right? In South America, traditionally, we are more popular in terms of having the semester edition, the 4 months, or the online 3-4 months. Right, because people are more experienced, they can accommodate the course, among other things they have to do, right? So usually if you look for information on this blogs such as I Survived Celta, which is one of them, all the horror stories have to do with the super intensive edition.
Yes.
Because they do everything in 4 or 5 weeks. So the horror stories are related to that.
Yes, exactly. And why is it so popular in Europe? Because or why was it so popular in Europe? Because Europeans like to travel. They like to be in the other country. For them, it's not that expensive to move from one country to the other. They're close to each other, and they have a chance to experience the environment. Yeah, but now with COVID, everything is going online. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's continue. So this is what the Celta looks like. For the semester edition, there are 6 hours of observed lessons. You need to observe. Some lessons are live. In the old edition, you would see the teacher in the classroom with you and observe the teacher teaching your students. And some sessions would be video lessons. You would get a link. You would get a link and then observe the lesson on that link. Nowadays, we keep the same style. You have certain hours, usually 3 to 4 hours of video lessons, and some 2 hours that you're going to observe a live lesson. So you get connected to a virtual classroom and there is a teacher there and you observe the teacher. The advantage in the semester program is that you can try to do some of these observations before you teach or during the week, so they don't usually conflict with the time that you have to teach. Yeah. For assignments, again, all Celtas will require that you write 4 assignments. And usually in the semester course, you're going to have about 3 weeks, sometimes 2, sometimes 4 a week's time to write down the assignment and to send it to us and to upload it. This was the system in the live face-to-face Celta. This is still maintained in the online semester course for the Celta. So you have time to think, to do your readings, to prepare your texts. The input sessions, we used to have face-to-face interaction every single Friday. So every single Friday you would learn something from the tutors. Nowadays we are online. So some Fridays you have still this live connection, and some parts of the contents we delegate to the online platform. So you do some of the studies asynchronous and some of the studies synchronous. We do that to make sure that you're able to digest all the information that you get, that you have a chance to practice with your peers before you go into the classroom and apply it. In the semester course, those sessions are held during the moment that you're teaching. So you have the sessions in one period of the day and you teach in a different period of the day. For example, morning sessions teaching and afternoon sessions in the input time. Yeah. And then teaching practice usually happens every other week. So 15 days to teach a lesson is more than enough time to prepare it the way the Celta expects you to. And for every lesson that you teach, you need to write a gigantic lesson plan. Even though it's that gigantic, it's not hard. It's pretty straightforward, but it's very time consuming. You have to think of many details. You have to write many things. Everything has to be written down. So it ends up reaching like 10 pages, sometimes 12 pages, sometimes 8 pages, depends on how succinct you are when you are writing. But for every lesson, you have to prepare it. Usually, as you can see on the screen, it takes you about 6 hours to finalize your lesson plan. But again, if you're going for the semester course, you have the whole week. Actually, you have 2 weeks to prepare your lesson plan. So it's pretty straightforward, and we tutors help you however we can when you are preparing the lesson plan. Okay, any questions over here? Marcelo, Daniele, Erica, Lucas, Denise, any questions? Nope, thank you. Okay, great. So let's take a look at what happens in the online. So in the online edition, we still have the 6 hours, and now at SPOC, at São Paulo Open Center, we try to program all those hours before you start teaching. So we eliminate this accumulation of chores, this accumulation of tasks. We try to get you to observe the lessons before you start teaching. And then when you start teaching, you are much more familiarized with the system and you feel much more confident. But we still get the 6 hours. For assignments, again, we start working on the assignments as soon as we can. We still grant you the 3 weeks, but we try to get you to write as many assignments as possible before you start teaching. So again, we eliminate this accumulation factor from your chores when you have to teach for the intensive period. The intensive period is usually either January or July. Yeah, so for example, we're going to start one now in May, and then the teachers, the candidates will only teach in July so that they can have more hours. They can think of a vacation period and then can devote more hours to the course. In this format, usually what we ask of the candidate is about 10 hours a week of availability to study for the course during the asynchronous phase, during the not live phase. And then in July, you have to devote as much as you can, preferably the whole day, because it's very intense. Yeah, it really needs your attention. As this is the teaching practice that I mentioned. And again, you're going to have to work on your lesson planning. As we try to make you teach every other day, you don't teach every day, you're going to have about 48 hours to prepare a lesson. So that means that you have 6 hours for it, and then you have 42 to breathe. Yeah, and you can do other things. You can observe more lessons, participate in sessions, and that you still have time to prepare and to get ready for your own teaching. Great. So that's the difference between the semester course and the online version. Cambridge is still thinking about changing names because now all versions are online. but the old name online works like that. Yeah. Many centers delegate the input sessions to the platform, so you devote all your time to the platform. Here at São Paulo Open Center, we still create several input sessions, live input sessions, to make sure that you digest information you have worked on online, to make sure that you practice it a little, and that you clear questions. So we give you this extra time in the input sessions, not as many as for the semester course, but as many as you need in order to make sure that you understood the material from the platform that you have to study on your own. Any questions you'd like to ask? Nope, we're going to get back to this module in a minute. Let's just go over the three of them. And then there is the super intensive. The super intensive edition, which here in São Paulo, for the Portuguese speakers, we call the Pauleira module, because you have to do everything. So in 4 weeks or 5 weeks, depending on the number of candidates and the center that you apply, here at São Paulo Open Center, we may try some 4 weeks if the group is small, but if the group is large, we would definitely need the 5 weeks of course. So in these 5 weeks, you have to observe 6 hours of lessons, of video lessons, and write your reports. You have to write 4 assignments, and you have to prepare lesson plans. And very possibly you're teaching every night or every morning if we cannot give you every other day as we would like to. So as you notice, the super intensive version of the course has a lot of accumulated work. There are different things that you have to do every day. In the old times, when it was live and face-to-face, we would usually tell the candidate, when you come to São Paulo, if you want to visit the city, if you want to get to know the city, we strongly recommend that you arrive 1 week before the course starts, or that you plan to stay 1 week after the course is over, because during the course time, you will barely have time to go to the bakery at the bottom of the hotel building. Yeah, barely. It's really intensive. It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time to produce everything. Yeah. Okay, now that it's online, you can still be in your house, so you have effective support behind you because you're there, it's your house, you're everything, but still a lot of work. What we require now for candidates who try the super intensive in July and January is that they block their friends. You won't have time to talk to your friends during this 1 month. You won't have time to go shopping. You won't have time to do anything else. Yeah, so focus on the course and try everything. So let's go back and look at one of them more carefully. Let's take a look at the course itself in depth. Starting with this one, for example, we have one now starting on May 10th, so some 20 days from now. What will those candidates do? They will start getting in touch with the platform, the online platform. Cambridge grants access to one online platform. In this platform, you start studying the contents of the course, how Celta expects you to teach different kinds of lessons. They deal with grammar lessons, vocabulary lessons, function lessons, which usually candidates are most curious about because they're not very dealt with outside the market. I know many candidates always tell us the same thing, that they don't have training for function lessons in the schools that they have worked for. So this is one thing that you learn from the Celta, and then how to deal with the skills, how to teach listening, speaking, reading, and writing according to Celta procedures. There are also some units that deal with the students, how to evaluate students, how to build up a profile, ways to deal with the students, and some units deal with language. So there is a realm of units that you have to go through during this time, little by little. We usually, you will have, of this group, we'll have an online tutor, and then this online tutor will assign them a certain number of units and the specific units that they have to study and go over every week throughout the course. So as soon as we get started, we will grant them the first lesson observation, and then they will start observing lessons. Very possibly in about 1 month, they will be done with lesson observation, and they will be able to get this out of their way. Yeah, it's going to be registered in their portfolio online as well. And then it's one thing to worry about. The same thing for the 4 assignments. One assignment from Celta is about building learner's profile. So we show you how you can build a learner profile in the best way to take advantage of that information to improve your lessons towards that learner. And then you have to write how you would do it with a certain specific learner that you choose and select. Every assignment at Celta is about 1,000 words. It's not very long. 1,000 words, about 2 pages and a half. But it is time consuming. So there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of thinking. Even though it's easy, it takes time. And we will give you about 3 weeks. At São Paulo Open Center, we try to give you 3 assignments, assignment 1, assignment 2, assignment 3, before you come and teach, you start teaching for the teaching practice component of the course. For that, the difference is that this will make you much more prepared, much more confident for the lessons that you have to teach. Other centers, they mix it up. They have some assignments before the teaching practice, some assignments after the teaching practice, and some centers, they have some assignments with the teaching practice, which accumulates work again and increases the hours that you have to devote to the course. But with us, we try to make 3 of them before the course, the teaching practice starts, and then 1 of them once the teaching practice is over. So you don't do any assignment during the teaching practice phase of the course. Assignment 2 is about language analysis, how Cambridge wants you to analyze the language you will teach. So there are several directives. We have input sessions on this. We show you how to do it. We teach you how to do it. And then you write your assignment with certain language chunks, certain language samples that the assignment brings. And you have to write it. Once again, you have 3 weeks. Once again, 1,000 words. Easy, easy once you know how to do it, but time consuming. It takes time. So that's why you have the 3 weeks. And then finally, assignment 3 before the teaching starts. Assignment 3 deals with receptive skills. So you choose either a listening lesson or a reading lesson. And then you write the assignment on how to teach that lesson. Once again, you will have had some input sessions and some material from the site, from Cambridge Moodle platform, in order to feel what you are supposed to write. Every assignment comes with instructions and with a model, so you can look at can read instructions, look at the model, and then you have to prepare your own based on a certain group of students that you have in mind. And then after teaching practice, there is assignment 4, after teaching practice, exclusively at São Paulo Open Center for this module. Other centers, they do it together. But after you stop teaching, you work on the last assignment, which is an evaluation, a self-assessment of everything that you have learned throughout the course, and the action plans that you have for your future to continue improving as a teaching professional. And that's it about the assignment. Cambridge is extremely caring and generous. So they deal with assignments in this system. They create one deadline, which you must respect. You upload the assignment, we assess your assignment. If your assignment is up to standard, congratulations, you have passed it. If the assignment, unfortunately, for any reasons is not up to standard, we write lots of comments and suggestions on how to improve it. We return it to you and we give you a second deadline for the resubmission. And then you are able to rewrite the same assignment, only fixing the points that need fixing. And then you are most likely sure to pass. Yeah, so you may fail. In the event of failing, you may fail one assignment only, but if you fail two of them, there's no certificate at the end of the course. But again, if you follow the directions, you read the instructions, you follow the model, and you talk to us, you are sure to pass. Unless you don't want to. Some people don't like to pass. But if you like to pass, you are sure to pass. Yeah. Okay. The lesson plans. The lesson plans are very, very detailed. Actually, they are the longest paper you write for Celta. They deal with aims, with procedures, with language analysis, and with material design and material selection. It's very comprehensive. And some candidates wonder, and they look at us with frustration in their heart, and they say, do you think I have to write lesson plans like this for the rest of my life to every lesson that I teach? And then we say, this is not what Cambridge expects of you. Actually, what Cambridge expects of you is that once you have written 8 beautiful lesson plans, that knowledge is in your bloodstream. So you will learn to write it faster. The writing it's going to become faster and faster. And at the same time, even if you don't write a perfect lesson plan for your future lessons, you will have it in your mind. You will know what is missing. You will know what needs to be filled out. We always recommend and we always suggest and hope that you keep writing lesson plans, because the more you write lesson plans, the more prepared and confident you are for the lesson that you have to teach. But Cambridge is aware that it takes a lot of time, and they really believe it's part of their approach, of their belief, that if you do it 8 times carefully and beautifully, accurately, it will be in your bloodstream. You will know how to think about a lesson, how to think about a plan for the rest of your life. Any questions there? Okay, and then let's talk about this new group starting now May 10th. In July, they're going to have to teach the students. So how does it happen? We have real students. You're not teaching teachers. You're not teaching other candidates. You are teaching real learners. That means Brazilians or even foreigners who want to learn English for some reason. We select them previously. We prepare 2 groups of students, one group at A1 level, basic, and one group at B1 level, intermediate. So São Paulo Open Center has a very good system to select the students. They are usually very polite people. They're very interested. They're eager to learn. Their hunger for learning. So they end up being great students. And you teach 4 lessons in A1 level. After you're done with your 4 lessons, you swap to the B1 level and you teach another 4 lessons, or vice versa. Or you start in the B1 level, and then after 4 lessons, you go to the A1 level, 4 lessons. Each lesson is 45 minutes. When you teach those lessons, you have to prepare the lesson plan, which is going to take you about 6 hours. Lesson plan 1 may take even a little longer because you're getting adjusted to it. Lesson plan 2 will be 46 hours, but then as you progress and as you get familiarized with the system, it starts being faster. So I'm sure that sooner or later, when you get to lesson plan 6, 7, 8, it's going to be much less than 6 hours. It's going to be like 5 hours and 45 minutes. It's much faster. Yeah. And then with that knowledge in mind, you come into the classroom and you teach your volunteer students and you have fun with them. Each volunteer student signs up for a class of 2 hours and 15 minutes. That means that every morning, 3 candidates will teach 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah, and then the learners are there. So it's very important that the lessons match because it has to flow as one class. So we make sure when we are assigning teaching points that the teaching points somehow connect, but each teacher, each candidate will teach an independent lesson with a beginning, a middle, and an end during those 45 minutes. The teaching topics vary, as I said before, from skills. They could be writing, speaking, listening, or reading. And also systems, grammar, vocabulary, and functions. And then for every lesson, there is a model. For every lesson, you may ask your questions, and your tutor will help you clarify the questions that you have. And that's it. So this last questions that I asked was rhetorical, because now I believe it's the moment to invert it. We're just going to have Marilena make any final comments she would like to. And then I would like you to speak a little about this session and whether this explanation of the Celta matches what you've heard, or if you have extra questions so that we can clarify them. So starting with Marilena. Marilena, any other comments?
Well, I know it's too much information and it might look a bit overwhelming, but there is support, right? And support is translated into various shapes and forms. So support to Cambridge is when your tutor reads your lesson plan before you teach the lesson and makes comments, expecting you to make the adjustments. Support is the extra input sessions that the center provides you with. Support is being available to clarify your doubts and answer your questions in relation to your writing assignments or writing your lesson plans. Support is the feedback sessions we have every time you teach, which is pretty much every day there is somebody teaching. So we have about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half session on feedback, right? So support is translated into various shapes and forms. The course also has mechanisms. So everything is double checked and triple checked. Your assignments are double marked. You be tutored by 2 different tutors. There is an external assessor that will validate all the reports that we write about your lessons and your assignments. What else? You have feedback from your peers, from your students, and from your tutors. Right? There are 2 formal moments of feedback, tutorials 1 and 2, in the course, in which you have your tutor there for you as well. So the course is demanding, but it's not rocket science, right? It's important to be committed and to be organized.
Great. So let's start with a volunteer. Do I have a volunteer? Denise, thank you. Great. So Denise, is this the idea that you have? Were you surprised? What are your thoughts about the Celta course?
When you guys explained how the super intensive is like a horror movie, it reminded me of other super intensive courses that I've had to take as a teacher that require full-time dedication. So I'm guessing it's going to be something similar to that, but I think about the best choice for me would be the semester for the online edition. So it won't be as stressful as having a 2-week massacre. I'm guessing. My main concerns right now, but are more specific to my routine. It's very challenging, for me at least, it's very challenging to have this 100% online interaction with students. So I'm guessing that's going to be my challenge, my personal challenge. Is organization of time and the fact that it's 100% online. But that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you, Denise. So what we can say about it in order to help you feel more relaxed is that if you choose to have the Celta through São Paulo Open Center, we work on, we have sessions, 2 sessions only with the candidates on how to operate the platform. We teach via Zoom. So we teach them how to operate Zoom, what are the tricks, what the tools are, format. Okay, and how to teach via Zoom. We have files and files on how to make it simpler for you. And as I said before, we have some unobserved sessions, which are sessions that you can teach your real students, your students that you will teach throughout the course, but you are not evaluated. So the objective of the session is only to get used to the system, get to know the students, work, see how the platform works during a real lesson. And then when you are supposed to teach your official lessons, you feel much more prepared, you feel much more confident. This is what we can offer you. So don't worry, whenever you want to start it, come to us and we will be there to support you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, how about you, Erika? What can you tell us?
It was really a clear explanation of what the Celta was. I had read about it before. I believe that that is a yes answer, but can I use this certification to teach anywhere in the world?
Yes, yes. There are many countries in the world. Yeah, most of them have some form of contact with Cambridge University, and most of them have some form of deal and partnership with Cambridge University. In those countries, the Celta certificate works as any professional certificate. You present that certificate and you're able to be hired. Here in Brazil, unfortunately, we do not have that kind of partnership, so you still need your letras or pedagogia diploma in order to be allowed to teach in regular schools meaning fundamental and médio. Yeah, but for our English schools and for our English institutes, the Celta is extremely required here in Brazil too. Yeah, so it really opens doors here and abroad. We have students, I forgot to mention to Maria Helena, Soraya, remember Soraya, Maria Helena? She's teaching in a school in Japan. She's teaching in a school, yeah, she's in Japan.
Well, we have trainees teaching in Hungary,
yes.
China, Russia, UK,
yes, true,
Spain.
True, yeah. So Soraya is in a regular school
US,
in Japan. And we also have
Italy.
Luana. Luana was with us 1 year ago, I guess. And she's now currently teaching in International House, China. Yeah, in China, in one of the cities, I can't remember now. So with that certificate, with the Celta certificate, you can teach wherever there is a connection with Cambridge. Yeah. I'm gonna answer Marcelo's question, and then I'm gonna go back to Erika. Marcelo, yes, the input sessions are like this, meaning we are using Zoom platform, but there is much more interaction. We tutors talk less because this is an explanatory session. In the input session, there is a lot of thinking, a lot of discussing, a lot of doing. So in our input sessions, we use this platform format that you're looking at right now. But then all candidates participate very actively during tasks, researching material, discussing terms, and talking about knowledge and talking about teaching that knowledge. Yeah. So going back to Erika, one thing that is clear, and then sometimes people do not understand, is that they ask, what's the difference between the Celta and other certificates? Because there are several certificates in the market. And now that we are online, you may try from any country. But the difference is that the Celta is actually a licenciatura course. So it's not just a certificate that some kind of institution or other university decided to launch, which is completely asynchronous and there's no teaching practice. So the Celta is very different from those because of that. This is a licenciatura program created by Cambridge and taught overseas. Yeah, so the tutors are qualified through very hard process. Yeah, Sergio knows that because he's going through it right now. Yeah, and we're qualified to teach and represent Cambridge in these courses. As any licenciatura course, you need estágio hours, which is our practice. So there is what we call the estágio de observação, which is those lesson observations, 6 hours that you have to go through. And then there is the estágio de regência, which is the 6 hours that you have to teach in the teaching practice time. So that is the difference between the Celta course and other certificates. And that is why the Celta course is so accepted in so many countries, because they know this is an official university course, not just another course flying the market. Yeah, so that's the difference. Thank you, Erika, very much. Do you have any other questions, Erika?
No, thank you. I appreciate all this information because it's really useful.
Thank you. Great. So Victor has a question. Victor, can you show your face? Yeah.
Hello. Hi.
Blah, blah, blah. Good options for me. Okay. Would you like to elaborate in your question?
So I have a licenciatura diploma, and I want to know if Delta would be a better option for me, or if Celta is a good starting point, maybe in this case.
Okay. How many years of teaching experience do you have?
I have 3 years.
I don't think they will take you at Delta.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because they ask at least 6 years of experience for the Delta.
It's the number is 2,000 hours of teaching experience.
I see. So if I took a Celta first and then Delta, it would be better, right?
Yes, that's what candidates usually do. We start with a Celta. If you have a Celta A, if you're granted a Celta A, you can go to Delta right after that. They will accept your application. If you have a Celta B, they will really look into your teaching experience and the other courses that you might have taken. But if you have just a Celta certificate, they will ask you to wait for 1 year before applying so that you're able to mature. You have time for maturing all that knowledge, and then you apply for the Delta. But usually those hours that Madalena mentioned will translate as 6 years experience. So if you're interested in academic life and a Celta and Delta, this is it. Start with us. Yeah, and have fun. Yeah, and get ready. Great. Yes, Marcelo. Celta is a passport to international career, because then you can compete in the market wherever you go in any other country. Very nice. Do we have another? Cesar, would you like to say anything?
I was just thinking about the question about Celta and Delta. I wouldn't recommend going straight for Delta, even though you only have the 2,000 hours of teaching experience.
Yes.
I'm going through that at the moment, and it's really tough.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, Delta is a lot longer, much more work to do, and much deeper. Yeah, okay. So, any other? Adriano Lopes Rodriguez, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Sorry,
So, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Is the recording going to be available to watch it later?
Very good question. We are recording the session, and then São Paulo Open Center will decide on how to deal with it. Maybe we will keep it in a São Paulo Open Center site, and you will be able to check it there later on. But right now, I don't know what they're going to do with the recording. Maybe they're just going to use it against me someday. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, but this is it. Okay, Sergio Lins, would you like to say anything? No? Okay, great. Is there any other questions anybody would like to ask? Fatima, Gladys, Naldo, no questions? Yes,
I'd like to say something, not really ask, but well, thank you very much for the presentation. It was a great presentation. Thank you. I don't want to ask anything, but I want to make a comment, maybe like a personal contribution. I've taken Celta. It wasn't called Celta at the time because it was so long ago, but I think that and when I took it, I was a teacher already. I was teaching at private institutions, but I think that one terrible gain I had, I mean terrible in the good sense, is that I became more professional. So I think that these courses bring professionalism to our career. So I just want to draw attention to that fact, because when you take a course like that, that is demanding, of course, but it brings elements. You're going through a deep process of learning. So I'm sure that I gained a lot in terms of professionalism. So I think this is important. Just wanted to bring this up.
Definitely. This is a very good point. Thanks. Yeah, and what we suggest is that if you would like to get started, if you'd like to join us for a Celta course, going to São Paulo Open Center site, get in touch with us, ask your questions, fill out the application form. The application form itself will give you lots of insight and the things that we can learn with us. And then if the time is right, be with us. Yeah, this is very important. If you have other friends who think they should work on a certificate and get ready for more international scenario, tell them to come to us as well. We'll be glad to welcome them all. We can talk to everyone. It's completely free. Yeah, we're not gonna hunt you later, like, you talked to us, now I have to be here. No, we're very friendly. Go through the process with us. And then if you think we are a great option, we would love to have you with us. Great, so that's it. Thank you very, very much for participating in the session. Yeah, and I hope to see you soon.